All right, so today we're going to work on the shoelace, the knot and the shoelace. And I think that will make a big difference to the painting. For I'm going to use a round brush, and I'll see how it goes. Medium size or small size round brush, so compared to this. And I have here burnt umber, raw sienna, and Naples yellow. So I'm going to start with the knot. And I'm going to take raw sienna, now with the knot, I'm just using raw sienna, by the way, for now. Now with the knot, I am not going to do it exactly the same. I simplified it a bit. Too many ins and outs with these things, so just simplify it. As long as it looks like it's wrapped around. And we don't need much to make it look like it's wrapped. This is good. This white stuff that you see that here is just pencil crayon. So I'm putting the base color with using raw sienna, and then I'll go back and add lights, highlights, and darks. The knots on this area here look a bit in the reference. It looks a bit strange. So not it's a bit too much work in here and that. So I'm going to do it in a different way, and I'll show you. I'm just putting the color right now. Once I start highlighting, I'll show you how I'm trying to do it. You'll see it better once I start putting highlights and darks. Okay, that's good. Whatever I don't paint with this with a pencil crayon, I'll just erase it. All right, so there's another one in the back right here. You can see it because of the cellophane being transparent. I'm going to take a little bit of brown and put it in it, and then just kind of a bit of, not much water, but a little bit. Yeah, this is what I want. I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be strong.
Yeah, very nice.
So you don't see it that much. paying attention to darks and lights. So the values and where the light is hitting, where there's shadows, and where the highlights are. All right. All right, let's see if we can highlight this and put some darks in there. So now I'm going to take burnt umber and I'm going to mix it with the raw sienna.
Is there a better red in the reference?
There is. So if we want to use this red, it will be burnt sienna. You know what we can do after? We can glaze the red on, but mix the burnt sienna with raw sienna and make it into a glaze and put it on top after we do everything. But we'll see if we want to do that. It might be, enough just the way it is. So this is now burnt umber and raw sienna. This is where I see most of the darks on this side, of course, because this part is darker. So I'm going to try to use some parts of that in a highlight. It's using a highlight, especially the middle one, and it's strange that the middle color, the middle part of this rope, is actually a different color than the other ones. I don't know why. I'm going to take brown again, but mix the brown with some Naples yellow. So instead of highlighting the brown with white, I'm highlighting the brown with Naples yellow. Take brown again. burnt umber, Naples yellow.
It looks very nice. The color.
Let's see. We might need to use some titanium buff in certain areas. These two are out. I like the fact that the way the rope is turning around, there's some kind of a nice movement in there. This one is shorter. Now, like I mentioned before, I really don't want to do it exactly the same. There's no need for that. Yeah, there's no need for that, but just a bit. Now grab some just burnt umber for this part. I'm going to stop for a minute and then go back in a just trying to blend, soft blending between the light and the dark. Okay, so trying to get some highlights here. So I added titanium buff and burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm going to try to add a bit of highlights in here, strong ones, but at the same time, I don't want to lose that subtle, soft highlight that I'm seeing here. Okay, that's better. I'm putting a hint of the texture that I'm seeing there. I think you were asking me, Ingrid, so I'm going to do that. I am putting a hint, a little bit of a hint. I don't want to put too much. And we're seeing those ripples or texture in where there's dark more than where the highlight is. It's pretty dark in here, really like dark in here. Except for this one here in the center, it's lighter. So I'm using, for this one here, what I'm trying to do, the center one, I'm trying to show it more, this one here. But I don't want it to be too light. I will have to move maybe a little bit this, but no, I can do it. All right, we're getting there. I'm going to move on to other part. All right, let's work on this part now. I'm going to take burnt sienna. This burnt sienna looks really, this is Winsor & Newton, so it's a bit orangey. And I'm going to add raw sienna in it. it bends a bit. It's not like this high, but that's okay. Just a bit of shape difference in shape, but that's okay. Now I'm adding Naples yellow to this part. And let's go back with Naples yellow and burnt sienna. And also, at this point, I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber. Darken this part. Burnt umber mixed with a bit of the raw sienna and Naples yellow. Now let's take Naples yellow. This is drying a little bit darker, so I'm just gonna I'm using Naples yellow and the burnt umber, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this beautiful burnt sienna, push it down here, and now again a bit of Naples yellow, and take that little line, the very thin line down, just like that. At this point, I can see that we're starting to have some highlights here. Let's take burnt umber, burnt sienna. So what I'm doing is I'm watching the values here. They change quite a bit. So now this is burnt umber and burnt sienna. And I'm not concerned about the shape right now because I can always use the background color and adjust my shape using negative painting. I'm mostly watching the values at this point. they change quite a bit from light to dark to hint of dark to light, right here, and this right there, it's a bit darker. And then it becomes right there. It's a little bit darker. Also here, a little bit. And now I'm going to take titanium buff and, sorry, I'm not, yellow ochre and raw sienna, and burnt sienna, and just kind of soften this. Really kind of, it's harsh. And this is just because we're using acrylics. Okay, good. Now, let's work on the knot. I mentioned before that I'm going to simplify the knot. So this is now Naples yellow, a little bit of burnt sienna. And let's do this. And now I'm going to take burnt umber, mix it with the burnt sienna, with some burnt sienna. And then I'm going to come here. Now, with this, the trick is to make it look like there's a knot, they're overlapping. This is such a small area where the knot is, the one I'm working on right now, that it's very hard to show the actual light and dark. But we'll try. I'm just going to do the that little part here. and then I'll take a break. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, back and forth between burnt umber and burnt sienna. And now I'm going to highlight with a little bit of burnt sienna and Naples yellow. Again, the burnt umber was a bit wet, so I'm doing burnt umber now and burnt sienna. Okay. I'm going to stop for a minute. Adjust the light a bit as well. The lighting in the studio. All right, so now I'm doing the one in the back, which is behind the cellophane paper. So what I used is raw sienna and a bit of burnt sienna together, and a little bit also of Naples yellow. But now I'm just kind of with a bit of burnt umber glazing it, so to push it back. Now I'm going to do again one layer, and mostly all of this is mostly glaze. So I'm going to highlight this part, glaze again, take some of this paint off of the brush, glaze all slowly, but not all the way back. This shape is narrower here, narrower at the back. So I'm using burnt umber and I'm painting, doing a negative painting to shape this part. And it's narrower here in the back next to the apple, and light and wider close to here, to this part. Okay. Again, a little bit of burnt umber and glaze. Again, now let's do this part. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, glaze. burnt umber here, and it's a glaze as well. See if I can go darker. Just burnt umber. Glaze this part. Change the shape a bit of the movement of the cord in this area. I'll take a little bit of white. This is a glaze, burnt umber and white. I'm just fixing the cellophane over. All right, let's go back to, actually before I go back, I'm just going to fix the cellophane around it too. And then let's put some, you know, this, the reason I'm putting more work here on this cellophane part, just because I need more movement here. So the rope looks like it's behind the cellophane. Otherwise, it will look like it's over. So not only that, I am just going to put more work in a minute. I'm going to put another layer, kind of not layered, but some lines over after I work on the rope, just to push the rope back. Okay, let's work on the rope. Let's highlight it a bit. Burnt umber, Naples yellow, some burnt sienna, and we're going to do a bit of highlighting. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Okay, let's try now. It will dry darker, and if it doesn't, it's okay. I'll put a bit of burnt umber over it. But this part is quite dark. I'm trying to keep my brush wet, or my paint wet. I see a little bit more red in here. More,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I am going to add a tiny bit more of the burnt sienna. And let's continue that. Continue that this part that I'm working on, this layer, and then I'll work on the detail. Detail and highlights.
You know, where do you need to highlight?
Do I know where the highlight is going to be?
Yeah, more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just putting the color right now over it, and then I'll work on the highlights and on the darks and details. All right, now let's take a bit of brown. Bring some brown in here. Darken this side part, the side. The one that's the side that's sitting on the table. This part. So this rope is twisted. So where the twist is, let's say here. I'm just using burnt umber. And another one right here. And a third one right here. Now I'm going to work on highlights. I'm going to take Naples yellow, some burnt sienna, again, Naples yellow, burnt sienna, just highlight this part. Again, there we go. It's kind of like a thin, narrow line here, and then it's wider. It becomes wider here. Again, narrow line, and then it becomes a little bit wider, the highlight. Now, let's take a little bit more. More of the Naples yellow. mixed with burnt sienna, but more Naples yellow. This part is really highlighted. So this is Naples yellow with a bit of burnt sienna, but yeah, more Naples yellow. And I'm trying to blend a really soft blending in here. This is a glaze of burnt sienna and a little bit of Naples yellow, but it's mostly a glaze. Now I'm gonna add some of the burnt umber to this glaze and darken certain areas like here. This is really dark right there. If you look at it, you know, when you look at it, you'll see it's kind of very dark right here. And let's put some more burnt umber in here. Also in here. This is Naples yellow and burnt sienna. And I'm going to kind of work on this highlight a little bit more right here. And highlight a tiny bit here. Take burnt umber, just burnt umber, and give this part where it's twisted, enhance this a bit more. And down here. Because this is drying a little bit dull in here. . Okay. Now, over this part where the rope is coming behind, it's behind the actual cellophane. I'm going to take white, burnt umber, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to have a line going over cellophane, over the rope. Now, the last thing I'm going to do here is take brown. I'm going to have a bit of black in here, touch of black. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm going to come here and adjust the rope a bit using negative painting. Or actually, it's more like a shadow of the rope. It anchors the rope. And take a little bit of more black. Any color that you can. I mean, black will show it, but it's not just black by itself. It's black and more black and some brown in here. Just brown now. Just brown. A little bit more, kind of a bit of a black in here. Now, I would like to do a hint of those. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. The texture ribbing on this rope. So I am using a glaze. I mixed some raw sienna and grabbed some burnt umber and Naples yellow. And I'm going to try soft kind of. See, it's really soft. It will dry darker, but I will adjust it when it dries darker. It's not too dark. Now I'm going to darken a little bit more because I'm getting to an area where it's darker. So I'm adding more of the brown in there so we can see it. Let's put some, and it's a glaze. I will adjust the value I added a bit of burnt sienna. I'll adjust the value. I'm kind of softening and highlighting a little bit this part. Naples yellow, burnt sienna. Again, let's take burnt sienna, soften a bit. Oops. At least burnt sienna and burnt umber. I don't want to put too much. There's no need. A hint is enough because I don't want to lose my highlights as well. The more texture I put in there, the less highlights I'm going to see. And there's a really nice highlight, strong one right here that I don't want to lose. Once you start adding highlights or detail, I should say, and pattern, sometimes you lose the highlight. You have to put it back on. Oops. I should have waited to dry and glazed it. The only reason I'm spending more time here on this because it's in the front. I should wait. I know I'm tempted to go over, but I'm gonna wait a bit and then glaze. I lost some of the darks in here, right here. Try now. Maybe it's dry. Okay. I'll let it dry a bit and then I'll adjust a bit more. This is Naples yellow. I'm just putting a fresh paint. I don't think you're seeing the red. I mean the burnt sienna, but there's burnt sienna in here. Just okay. I'm gonna pause. All right, this project is done. We're moving on to a new one next week.